I really, really
Oh,
enjoyed
man.
it. You're very good on camera.
That was a last minute idea. Thank you for that. That was a last minute idea that I was thinking, okay, all the live videos I've seen, they go to live and then they wait for a while because they're waiting for people to come on.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, instead of it just being dead air, I will act like I'm typing my manifesto.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. That was probably my favorite part of the whole recording that I watched back.
So moving ahead, I do want to do some more video segment pieces like I have in the past. And I'm also going to go back on any of so I make like little short films.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually just me acting in it because that's always been the easiest way to get it done.
Yeah,
write it, direct it, and act it.
Do all
which
the
is
work.
perfect for COVID-19, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's going to be difficult to get other people involved. So going ahead, I'm going to make some other little vignette short pieces. And then what's that?
These are my Johnny
questions. Do you need me to read them? Okay.
I'm taking my glasses off. Okay, sorry, I'm listening. Vignettes.
Yeah. So I'm going to do some more little short video pieces and then post those. But they won't be live ones. It'll be going back to where I actually what's the word? Yeah, not cautiously, but conscientiously set up camera and some editing and some pieces like that.
I enjoyed at the art show that we were just discussing that you had right after the last recording that we did here, that you had a black and white movie that you were playing out on the side of the building, which was quite nice.
Yes.
It's just the thing about your work. It's your work. It's your personality. It's your shows. It's the people that you hang with. There's a quirkiness, a very approachable energy that you have that is. I'm envious of it. I don't know. It's just an energy that's very laid back, but
it's to be honest about it, it's a personality switch.
But it comes. It's a switch.
Kind of. It's almost like having another identity. I go into it like even coming in here. I knew I really wanted to do it, but then like anything, you get up close to the time slot to actually go do it. And you're like, I don't want to do it.
Totally.
But you just flip the switch and get the job done.
Some of my best episodes, my best interviews have been on days like that where I'm like, I'm thinking of all of the reasons why I could cancel. And I don't because I don't want to be that person. Although I was that person with you last week, but because I had to go to the doctor. And then you get there and some of my best interviews have come out of those days where I'm like, I don't want to do it. Because I don't want to turn it on. For me, it's usually out of exhaustion because it's easy for me to be this person that talks all the time but it's exhausting too. And I've found that even after almost every episode, I crash about an hour later.
Well, it was like it's like being on stage and doing a show.
Yeah. Although it feels very natural to me while I'm in it. Like I don't feel like I'm performing, but I am very focused on the person that I'm with and the conversation that I'm in. So it does feel exhausting. But, last week I had, back to the whole, like we've been doing this for 3 months, right? Kind of not socializing and just kind of in a different mode. And I saw patterns of people's emotional swings very early on. And it was, of course, to be expected, right? Everybody's having highs and lows. And it seems like everybody, generally speaking, was on the same frequency of highs and lows. I tend to be a person who, whenever I've been in situations of crisis in my life, be it big crisis or maybe even minor, I go into like high performance mode and I stay that way until the crisis is over. And I think that's how I was at the beginning of this quarantine. I powered through the first 2 months. Like I didn't miss a beat. And this last 4 or 5 weeks, while everybody else is now kind of a little bit rested and kind of on the upswing, I'm finding myself frequently taking nosedives, harder than I did in a long time. And so last week was one of those weeks where by Thursday, I was literally ready to throw in the towel on all of it, on everything. And I have had a weekly Thursday Zoom call with 2 girlfriends, one in New York and one in Sonoma, since this whole thing started. And it's like a little happy hour. Halfway through the one on Thursday, I laid down on the couch and literally fell asleep. Wow. Because I was in such a stressed state from, I think, just everything that's been happening the last few months. And then I've had a few serious kind of crisis things happen in the last couple of weeks. And I don't have any stamina left, right? So I'm crashing hard, and I'm finding...
I think that's, if I can interject,
yes.
That sounds like a common thing with like field medics or some sort of profession where it is your job to help people and take care of them. While that's the problem, taking care of other people, you're full steam ahead. And then once it feels like people are taken care of, all your problems surface.
Yeah.
And then it gets real. And I totally understand that. I think for me, my wavelength was different because first going in to stay in place, I think we were in a safe situation in our personal family. So all my problems surfaced they're in my head, but, so it took a while for that, to play itself out for me to not snap out of it, but come out of it.
Yeah.
And to get back into what was cool in that downtime was all the other people who were sharing. There was lots of other people sharing live music or podcasts or just thoughts. And I was feeding off that stuff. So now I feel like it's a, what do you call it? Like a recoil or something. Like I want to give back all that feeling now.
Yeah.
So that's why while I'm climbing back out and feeling better and I want to contribute to the other people who might be in a down. Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Although
that's good.
I haven't felt, it's one big difference is, I really fuel off of, funny things, comedy and satire.
Oh yeah.
And that's often how I project myself. Even in my paintings are sometimes like a form of satire. And, but the funny has been on the down low right now. Even all of our late night shows, they're slinging jokes out there, but they're like, they have a cocktail in their hand and they're like, ha ha, right?
Yeah.
Because it's been
true.
tough.
Do you think it's because, I'm sure there's a level of both, but like, are they being cautious with their jokes, or there's a set of like a sense of exhaustion as well in their work? Like they're not performing because they just are too tired to come up with something.
They could be getting tired, like bad politics are funny when they're not dangerous.
Yeah.
And when it's real dangerous, you don't want to make a joke with it. So I think they're having a hard time right now. So maybe it's time for the other more serious art forms to elevate.
Yeah.
What I mean by serious is non-joking.
Right.
Platforms. So,
well, it's interesting. I have a good friend who's in New York, and he runs the Stand Up New York Comedy Club. And he's been pushing the envelope. So a couple weeks ago, he did an outdoor comedy show. I think it might have even been before. I don't know when the Dave Chappelle one was that you were just talking about.
Oh, he claimed to be the first.
Okay, well, so my friend Donnie they took a pickup truck and they parked it out in front, and they used that as a stage, and they seated people on the sidewalk as like they were in a show. And I don't know, maybe Dave Chappelle performs at his club a lot. Maybe he was.
So they
one
weren't
of the
in
ones
cars.
There. No, they were sitting out, but they got about an hour and 10 or so into it, and the police came and shut them down. And then they've since then done a show indoors. Like I can relate to comedians because similar to you, like they do live shows, and that's where they flourish.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting there twiddling their thumbs, dying to get back in front of an audience. And so that's a group that I think similar to like what the fitness clubs are doing here, where they're really advocating for themselves because here's all the reasons why people need fitness clubs and we should open. Comedy clubs are going to start doing the same thing.
I get it for sure. We all need to feel good. We all need that dopamine and exercise, comedy, all the things to elevate ourselves in a healthy way and to distract our minds or to make us think about a topic. One of Chappelle's jokes, one of his only jokes, like I said, there weren't many, was he's like, okay, maybe I'm not the first. There was one other guy who did a live show, but everybody was sitting in cars, so every punchline got horns honking at him. He's like, that's not much feedback. So,
and you can argue that it could be good or bad feedback. You don't know.
You're right. Yeah, just like real life. You don't know if somebody's mad at you or not.
I saw. So speaking of Dave Chappelle, I saw one of the late night comic. I don't watch late night TV really, but one of those shows, the host reposted a Twitter thread about that somebody had. Let me make sure I get this right. It actually had been from a show from 2013, I think, where Dave Chappelle was up, and it was again not quite as where we are now with these protests and stuff, but it was after one of these senseless murders, and there was some some feelings going around about it. And he was up on stage, and there was a woman, like a white woman with with her bougie hat on, and she's sitting in the audience, and she said something to him about this incident that had happened, and he was like, what? So anyway, I'm going to hack the whole thing, but there's this Twitter thread that went, like, this late night show host just the other day reposted this whole thing, and it showed like how he literally stood up on the stage and quite honorably educated the audience about what was going on without being an asshole, and in the end, she came back backstage. He let her in. She apologized. Not only did she apologize, she sat there in tears, thanking him for educating her. And he was quite impressive. You can see it going around on social media right now. They've just reposted it.
I'd like to check that out.
It was pretty cool.
And I'd like to say, isn't that amazing? Don't we wish, like, that's very impressive for him to be able to do that. Yeah. And it's his skill set. If we could all be so articulate to de-escalate people,
that's exactly
and
what
with humor added into it,
yeah.
like maybe that should be a major theme in school going ahead. Teaching kids how to de-escalate with humor, or
you might be onto something.
I don't know.
Or do anything with humor these days would be nice. Oh God! Speaking of teaching kids, how did your kids do school-wise?
So they did pretty good. So our son's in 4th grade, just finished 4th, and his teacher was 100% the biggest backbone to that being successful. They just did a brief Zoom meeting every morning, and he read them a story. He gave them some good news of some kind. He was like the good news director every morning. Every morning he checked in with each kid by, like how you do roll call.
Yeah.
But he would say hi to each kid by name. And then at the end, when he was saying goodbye, that was their cue to sign off. He said goodbye to each kid.
And they could just log off.
Yeah. But that small recognition gave them an opportunity to say hi and bye to some other human.
Yes.
And so I'd say between Jenny and I, we both juggled being the teacher, because then we had to be with him till it was probably, I guess, till like 1 or 2 o'clock every day. But thankfully, because we both do creative craft, our studio's at home, we're able to juggle the two things. Our daughter, on the other hand, had already started. She's in 9th grade, and she had already started a online schooling program. Oh. And so she was already in line with what the game was going to be. And so she was already doing very successful. She had really good grades. And, even at the point of the official stay-in-place order, her teachers had told her, going forward, do what you can. Your grades won't change for worse. They can go up if you feel motivated and you want to keep doing